Hi, this is Lorraine, and I am doing another video. If you will give me just a second to clear center and balance my energy, and then I can get started. So this week, not a lot of information came to me like the last few weeks, where I just felt like I had to write it down because there was so much coming in. I just felt it was appropriate for me to write it down. So yesterday I was thinking, gee, not a lot of information came in and I didn't write a lot down. That's strange. Maybe they don't want me to do a video this weekend. And so, like, as soon as that thought came into my head, they're like, oh no, this week you already have all the information you need. It's like all the stuff that's been coming in since the beginning of this whole COVID thing, you need to talk about. And so I wasn't sure if I would ever have to talk about these things, just because I felt like everybody has to walk their own path, everybody has to make their own determinations in their lives, and everybody needs to decide which path they're going to go on. And so most of the messages were to help people to understand that, and then also to kind of help them through what's happening. But I don't feel like I spoke too directly. I feel like sometimes it could be a bit cryptic, which it was meant to be, because people have to make their own decisions. I'm not here to really tell people, you need to do this. What I need to tell them is, this is what's happening, you have a choice, these are the consequences of your choices. But in the end, those determinations are your own. But now they're like, no, you have to say directly what's going to happen in the next few months. And I don't normally do predictions because in the past, the collective consciousness as a whole has been very fragmented, and that was an intentional thing that was done to humanity by this negative polarity. But as the positive and the negative polarity have diverged, the energies that will be inheriting the earth are becoming much more unified in thought. And those energies, we have kind of taken over the path of Mother Earth, because Mother Earth will transcend to the light. And so all those people on the path of transcendence to love and light are determining the future outcome of humanity as we expel the negative energy. So because of that, the future outcomes are narrowing, the possibilities are narrowing. So those predictions will be more accurate. Any predictions I make will be more accurate. Whereas in the past, because there were so many options and there were so many other energies that can intervene and affect those options, it did not serve, in my opinion, people I worked with or did readings for to do predictions, because there were too many possibilities. What helped best was to help them understand how their consciousness and how they perceive the world around them will affect their future outcomes, and help them to have a more positive perception of their future so they can create that positive future outcome. But now, because the collective consciousness of this balanced polarity are inheriting the earth, those future outcomes are narrowing in scope. And I've been told, now you tell them what's going to happen, because we know what's going to happen. And so you know what's going to happen. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I took a couple notes just to make sure that I say what I feel like it needs to be said, but I'm actually going to let as soon as I start, the information will just start flowing and I'll just go with that. But I feel like just having this point to start from is helpful. So what I wrote down yesterday morning was, it's okay to make predictions because of the divergence of positive and negative polarity. The collective consciousness has become more aligned with Mother Earth. Mother Earth is directing the outcome of tribulation. And so this is tribulation. And so in a past video I said there would be greater occurrences and greater severity of the natural disasters that are happening. So earthquakes, fire, water, air, earth. So earthquakes, tornadoes, tsunamis or hurricanes, volcanoes erupting, so weather phenomenon, earth phenomenon, all those natural occurring events on Earth, they're going to happen more often, and with they will be escalating in severity, and that's what we're seeing. Now, this is not just within this last year. Okay, so anybody, I was raised in California, I'm now in Washington State, and anybody who grew up in California knows there were not always forest fires. There were not fires like there are now. There have always been earthquakes, but not fires. And now Seattle, Washington has a lot of fires. Earthquakes, I don't think happen very often. There was an earthquake in eastern Washington. There are earthquakes happening in very strange places now. There was a huge hurricane in the Gulf. So we are seeing an escalation of these natural disasters or naturally occurring events, but they have started 10 plus years ago, okay? So what's happening now is it's all coming to a head. So I just wanted to point that out, even though it seems like all of a sudden everything's happening at once. It's been building up to this. So right now we are at this precipice or apex of this transition, and it's manifested in these earthly events. So in the last couple videos ago, I talked about Earth going through the black hole. I also talked about Earth having a vision where Earth was, there was a laser, like a light that went straight through the center of Earth, and the feeling was bloodletting. And so I just want to explain this better because I didn't have the articles and I wasn't able to read the articles. So let me just explain. Bloodletting is the withdrawal of blood from a patient to prevent or cure illness and disease. And this is something that they used to do in the past, not present, but in the past, before modern medicine, before we had access to all these modern medicines and techniques, medical techniques. And so there was a article on WebMD about the present validity of bloodletting. And so I'm just going to read a few excerpts from that article, but it's because I need to explain how this is a metaphor for what's happening on Earth. And I'll put this articles in the link. I'll put links to the articles in the description if you are interested in all reading about it. But staph thrives on iron compounds, scavenging it from the animals it infects. We're animals. It obtains most of the iron it needs to grow during infection. Specifically, it prefers a kind of iron found in, now I don't know if this is a word or an acronym, so HEM, H-E-M-E, the molecule in red blood cells. That helps carry, okay, let me read that again. Specifically, it prefers a kind of iron found in HEM, or Hemi, the molecule in red blood cells that help carry oxygen. It's as if the bacterium scans its host's menu of iron compounds, hoping to find Hem or Hemi. Hemi iron is the preferred iron source during the initiation of infection, write Scar and colleagues in the September 10th issue of Science. Okay, Scar would be the author of the article. Then, if no Hemi is available, the bacterium's chances of thriving may fail. And then, in conclusion, these are just excerpts. What does it all have to do with bloodletting? The idea boils down to this. The less blood that's available, the harder it is for the bacterium to scrounge up enough Hemi to thrive. So without this, the Hemi or Hem, the bacteria will die. That is the idea of bloodletting. So Earth and bloodletting. I'm going to make the connection. What people need to understand is the negative polarity, how that negative polarity stays here on Earth, and it's the same for the positive polarity, is that negative polarity attaches to human beings. That negative polarity works through humans. So it infects humans, like staph infects humans. It infects humans, this negative thought, this negative energy, and it manifests and it exists in this world through humans. So humans are the host for this negative polarity. Without a human to attach to, this negative polarity doesn't exist. It's the same with the positive polarity. Love and light, those energies attach to people who manifest and live their lives from love and light, the positive polarity. So what's happening in tribulation is a form of bloodletting. Tribulation is the release, is bleeding out the negative polarity from the world. All right, the bacteria. The same way bloodletting releases the bacteria that Hemi attaches to. Tribulation is a form of bloodletting that releases the negative polarity from this earth. And what that means is people who live and manifest the negative polarity will be leaving this world through tribulation. And I know that's very upsetting for many people to hear, but at this point, people have chosen their paths. They're either manifesting through the negative polarity or manifesting through the positive or balanced polarity. And Mother Earth is transcending, and Mother Earth has chosen the light. So if you are choosing a negative polarity, then you cannot exist here on Earth. You will no longer remain here on Earth. And the way you will be expelled or leave this world is through tribulation. Okay? So that is how the metaphor, the bloodletting of Mother Earth comes into play. And I didn't really explain it the last video I did, but I got a more clear explanation for that. And maybe a lot of times that happens because for me, when I start having visions, they give me a little bit of information at a time and then they build on that. So they give me time to process that information, accept it, and kind of reconcile it into my life, and then they build on that. And that's been happening for years now. But so first, it's important to expose you to this idea or concept of bloodletting and tribulation, and then next explain how that relates to what we're going through right now. So as this world expels the negative energy, there will be many people who will be leaving this world, meaning they will be passing from this planet. But that doesn't mean that people who pass during tribulation are manifesting through the negative polarity. My father is 94 years old. He will be 95 in January. When he passes to the light, it will not be because of he manifests negative polarity, because he projects energy from a negative polarity. He is the most beautiful soul I've ever encountered in my life, and I'm so blessed that he's my father. And when it's his time to go, it's his time to go, and he will go to the light and he will incarnate on earth if he chooses to do so in his next lifetime, because he is of a very balanced and positive polarity. His death will have nothing to do with tribulation. It's just his time. So there will be people who will be passing at this time who are meant to pass, that are not manifesting through the negative polarity. So you have to understand that, and you really need to make those determinations, and not, if you're watching this, not say, oh my God, that person passed away, they must be. That's not what's happening. So that's one thing. Now, how this will happen. Now, there's a lot of natural disasters happening. That may be a way that it will happen, but this was something I never felt I really was going to talk about, that they wouldn't ask me to talk about, but it has been asked, and so I will. There's an election coming up in November, presidential election, and let me first say that if you are still assigning your belief system to Democrat or Republican, blue or red, and then assigning to blue or red a positive or negative, saying blue's positive and red's negative, or the opposite, blue's negative and red's positive, then you're not understanding what we're going through right now. You're not understanding what this transition is. What this planet is going through, because this isn't just about Earth. This isn't just about the United States. This is about Earth, okay? Donald Trump has been assigned the role of expelling the negative energy from this planet. He is battling this negative energy, this negative polarity. And he will continue to fight. He will continue to advocate for humanity. He is freeing humanity from the negative polarity, from the cabal energy. That's what people need to understand. This isn't about Republican or Democrat. This is about Donald Trump's sole purpose in this world, in this lifetime, just like my role in this world, in my sole purpose. I have a purpose in this life. He has a purpose in his life. We all have a purpose. He knows his purpose. I know my purpose. It is our obligation to find our sole purpose in this world and drive forward to fulfill that obligation. We have committed to our paths in this lifetime. And Donald Trump's path is to expel the negative polarity, the cabal, from this planet. And he's doing that. I know people don't want to hear that. People think he's a horrible person. And there's so much judgment that's going on. What you need to understand, there's a lot of manipulation that's happening through the media. People believe what they see all the time. They don't discern, they don't read, they don't do research on their own. They just take what's given to them as truth. And I watched a video of Nancy Pelosi speaking, not of her voice, not audio, of her speaking and talking about how they deceive and spread misinformation, disinformation, intentionally to the media. And then the media talks about it. And then they go, see, the media said it, so it's true. And that's how they promote this negative, the lies. And what you need to understand is that the negative polarity must reveal what they're doing. So they don't come out on, a news show and they say, we're doing this. This is what we do. They do it in small venues, small audiences, but they do say it. And I've seen these, it's mind-boggling that they do it. I'm like, why would they do it? Because they have to do it. Just like I have to do this. I have to say these things. I am driven to share these messages that I receive. They have to do certain things also. So when this election comes up, what you need to understand is Donald Trump has all the support he needs. The majority support Donald Trump. The majority will vote for Donald Trump. The media is trying to make it look like he's not in favor, that he doesn't have favor, that the Democrat, the blue, the Biden can win. That is so not true. I'm telling you right now, I know with every fiber of my being that he has all the support he needs, all the votes he needs to win. So this is the issue. If Donald Trump does not win, it is because of manipulation, it is because of fraud. Thus, he will not leave office. He will stay in office and he will fight, because he knows if he doesn't come out winner, it's because of fraud. And we will be in civil war. There will be a civil war. If he wins, if the negative polarity, if it's such a huge win that there's no way they can steal the election, there will be civil unrest, and that negative polarity will make sure that happens. They've already got a plan for that, from what I understand. If I can find the information, I'll post it in the description. But I'm a big supporter of Judicial Watch, and I was watching a video they were talking about it, and I can't remember the title, but I will put it in the description. But if the negative polarity loses, they will create civil unrest, riots, fires, whatever they can. Just like their Antifa and this BLM movement. That is a manipulation of humanity to try to get them to incite violence. That's not to say that Black lives don't matter. What it means is all lives matter. Everybody matters at this point. And if you are insulting, belittling, marginalizing, attacking anybody in the name of justice, you are embracing the negative polarity. Regardless, if you think people who hurt, harm, insult, belittle, marginalize someone, and they're trying to fight for right, they have embodied the negative polarity. And they no longer are fighting for right. They have become the negative polarity. Martin Luther King fought for civil rights without any type of violence, without any type of manipulation, marginalizing, insulting, or belittling. He always chose love and compassion, and he changed the South through that. That is how change is created. And my favorite quote is Martin Luther King, and he says, I don't know if this is exact, "I choose love, for hate is too great a burden to bear." I don't know if that's exact, but that is the sentiment, and it's the truth. When you project that anger and bitterness and even hate as a means to fight for justice, you have embraced the negative polarity. That's all I can say. I didn't really want to discuss politics because I know it's a contentious topic and people are very passionate, but what we need to understand and what people need to understand is we are working towards freeing humanity and becoming unified as a planet. And true freedom is found in autonomy. Freedom is not having somebody give you a place to live, pay for your health insurance, and determine where you will live and what kind of health insurance you will have, what kind of food you will have, where your food will come from. That's not freedom, to have somebody else tell you or provide those things for you. Autonomy, individuality, being able to choose your own home, your own health insurance, where you buy your food, what kind of food you eat, where you live. Not in this plot of land or that plot of land. No homesteads, no reservations. That's not freedom. Freedom is autonomy and being able to make your own choices. And what people need to understand that. We need to understand that. Okay? So I'm just going to sum it up. Let me make sure there's nothing I missed. So tribulation is a form of bloodletting. That is how Mother Earth is releasing the negative polarity on this planet, is through tribulation. There will be a plethora of natural disasters that will take place across the planet. We also have the election coming up, which will create civil unrest or civil war, one of the two, depending on the outcome. But Donald Trump should not step down. If they try to steal the election, he should not step down. It is his role to carry this world and this planet through tribulation, release the negative polarity, the cabal energy, and help us begin the walk to freedom and healing. That's his job. That's his purpose. And as much as people may not want to hear that, that is the honest truth. And I would ask you to look at videos from the beginning, from 2016 and present. And if you look and see how his demeanor has changed from frustration, because he walked into knowing what's going on and being absolutely frustrated and disgusted with how our government allowed this cabal energy to infiltrate it. That was disgust and disappointment. And that came out in his behavior. But over the last 4 years, he has been able to rein it in and find his path and his footing, and he knows exactly what he's doing. So you see that energy in him centering, and he's very clear and focused on what he's doing. And maybe every moment, every now and then, he has a moment where he gets a little frustrated, but so do I. I'm human. We're all human. But this is his path, and he will succeed. The other thing is, I will just say, I was communicating with the ambassador and Sebastian of the Raptor community collective in the Inner Earth, and Sebastian has this incredible relaxed energy now, and that makes me very happy. But also what that means is they have cleared the tunnels. So they've cleared the tunnels of that cabal energy that was invading their space, their territory, which is completely out of line. They have no right to go into Raptor areas. Either do we. And so what he said is they use the sound technology. So they weren't fighting hand-to-hand combat during the clearing of the tunnels. It was a sound technology that they used. And so sound can be very healing. Music, very healing. How many people don't go throw on their favorite band when they're in a crappy mood or sad mood to help lift their spirits? Okay, music can be extraordinarily healing, and different kinds of sounds, not just music. Very healing. Rain, the sound of water. But it also can be destructive, and it can be used as a form of defense and protection. And so that's what they did. They utilized some kind of sound technology to clear the tunnels. Just so you know, I just wanted to kind of update you on that. And Sebastian is very relaxed. The ambassador is always very regal and always very appropriate. Sebastian tends to be very steadfast, very sentinel-like when he's on high alert, when he's being hypervigilant. But this other side of him, when he's not having to be in that state, is very relaxed. Just a lot like our military. I don't know, I think I work with a lot of former military, and they're either on yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, or they're just like really easygoing. And so I get that energy from Sebastian. The other thing that's very interesting that I wanted to just mention is when I was laying down, I was getting ready for bed, I just closed my eyes, and all of a sudden these visions came, these beings came to me. 1, 2, 3, they just kept coming. And they could look like any being in the universe, because the life in our universe is diverse, but they said, "Can you come help us?" And they didn't say it, but they did say, "Can you please come help us?" But they're from a different universe, not a parallel universe, a different, separate universe. And it was very emotional for me and heart-wrenching for me. And I have to be honest, I'm like, I had to ask myself, who am I? Who am I? Why are beings from another universe coming to me to ask me for help? So I guess I'll meditate on that for a while. What I did was I said, I connected with my angels and guides and divinity, and I said, please support these energies as much as you possibly can, because right now I have to focus on what's going on here on Earth, and I feel a bit overwhelmed by their request. Please contact, communicate, support them in any way that you can, and I will project love and light energy towards them, which I have. But in this moment, I need to focus on what's going on here. And then I asked, does my higher self, does that part of me that resides with divinity and accesses infinite knowledge, can that part of me help these beings? And they're like, just focus on what you're doing right now. And they also said what's happened is your energy field has opened to an even greater extent, and so now these other universes are able to access your energy field, which is okay. Just maintain clear, centered, and balanced energy and do exactly what you did. But I don't know, I had to ask myself, who am I? And I heard something say, I was watching a movie and it said, you must forget who you are. So that's my next journey. Just so you know, I'm here working through this phase of Earth's transition. But for me, my next phase is, I guess, forgetting who I am and seeing myself in a different light. So I just want to end by saying, we all carry the divine light within us, each and every one of us. I am no different from anybody else, but I am aware of my connection to the divine source. And I access help and guidance through that knowledge. We all have the potential to create whatever we want in this world and in this universe. But first, we must be aware of our divine center, our divine source, our divine creator within us. Because God resides within each of us. God is not separate from us. The creator of all things in this universe is not separate from us. It is within us, it is us. And so this journey that we're all on, this part of the journey that we're moving into, is now that we know that we carry God in us and that we are God in every fiber of our being, how can we utilize that and demonstrate it to the world, to each other, to every part of our existence? That is the next phase in our evolution. Thank you.